On Rosh Hashanah, we've crowned God as the king. And on Yom Kippur, we've begged for and hopefully received his forgiveness. And so now we march right into the holiday of Sukkot. We take our lulav and our esrog, and we hold our lulav aloft like a spear, like a soldier returning victorious from battle, because we're confident. We know, maybe not individually, but communally, we know that the Jewish people have received a favorable judgment on Yom Kippur, and we're celebrating that. And that's particularly comforting for us right now, with Iran on the brink of nuclear know-how. So we march out into our sukkah, into our hut, into our temporary dwelling, and we leave our homes behind, reminding us that no matter how sturdy the walls or the roof of our home may be, that's not what protects us. God protects us. And when we perform mundane activities in the sukkah, eating, drinking, we remember that our job in this world is to take the physical and elevate it to the realm of the spiritual. And we remember that our material strivings should never take precedence over our spiritual ones. And also, we commemorate the fact that God took us out of Egypt. And for 40 years in the desert, we lived in huts under the protection of his sukkah, his cloud of glory. And we smile when we remember that, because we know that once a human being achieves something, it can be re-achieved, or others can achieve it. Once Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile barrier, other runners were able to run the mile in under 4 minutes as well. So we know the fact that our forefathers, those thousands of years ago, were able to get to a level of closeness to God such that they merited miraculous protection under the cloud of glory for 40 years, we, each of us, can get back to that same level of closeness to God. So when we're out there in the sukkah eating, that's the Jewish al fresco, outdoor dining. And for those of us who are a little bolder, who sleep out in the sukkah, that's Jewish camping. But it's not merely Jewish dining and camping. It's Jewish dining and camping under the Tsela de Mehem Nusa, the shelter of faith, us and God. We're reenacting that Gan Eden, that Garden of Eden, that Edenic experience, just us and God, alone out there, just him and his handiworks of creation. In my family, I don't think there's a more cherished ritual than going outside to sleep in the sukkah, getting the air mattresses ready and the mattresses ready, and then the jockeying between me and my children for positioning who's going to sleep where, because that person likes to sleep next to the wall, and that person likes to sleep near the door. And those two guys, I'm not going to allow them to sleep next to each other because I know that's going to lead to pillow fights for hours. Boys, I'm not naming names. You know who you are. That's the kind of experience that children remember, especially in this crazy world in which we live, in which those of us who are parents or who are thinking of becoming parents are wondering all the time, how in the world are we going to get our kids connected to Judaism? Or how are we going to keep them connected to Judaism? That's the type of experience, being in the sukkah, that'll do it for them. And so if you're not planning to build a sukkah, pick up the phone. Invite yourself over to a friend or a relative or a coworker who is building a sukkah. Bring your kids along for that sukkah experience. But really, you shouldn't have to make that call. Because for those of you who are planning to build a sukkah, if you haven't yet invited over a friend or relative or a coworker who doesn't have one, what are you waiting for? On Sukkot, each night we invite over one of the Ushpizin, one of our honored guests. We invite Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and Moses and Aaron and Joseph and David. Invite over another honored guest. Invite over a fellow Jew who doesn't have a sukkah. Sukkot is the holiday most closely associated with joy, with simcha, and we know from where true joy emanates. True joy comes from living a life of purpose, living a life of meaning. So what could be better than celebrating that joy out in the shelter of faith than doing so with a fellow Jew? So invite yourself over to the sukkah, or invite someone else over to a sukkah to experience that joy.